Hi everyone, good morning. My name is Jitendra, and in this video we will learn about method overriding, and we'll go into deep to understand what is method overriding and how we can achieve it, and what are the rules, what is the key principle, and with some coding example we will also do. Okay, so let's just get started. Let's first understand what is method overriding. Method overriding is a type of polymorphism um, which is also called runtime polymorphism or dynamic dispatch or dynamic polymorphism. So when does this happen? What is the criteria? Let's start with the definition. So it happens when we have a parent-child relationship. It happens whenever we do have inheritance. In case of inheritance, what is inheritance? Inheritance is called when parent there is one parent, there is one child. Parent will be given to the child. The child will inherit the properties of parent. So in that case, if we have the same method in parent and child with the same signature, we can change the implementation. Okay, so let's get into the definition first. What is method overriding? So first thing first, method overriding is also called method overriding writing is also called runtime polymorphism. Polymorphism means a method can take one or more forms. Morphism and dynamic, because the implementation changes when we do the overriding. Okay, implementation changes, the method signature remains the same, but the implementation changes. So let's say what it is. When a subclass provides its own specific implementation of a method that is already defined in its parent, that is called overriding, and the method in the subclass must have the same name, same return type, and covariant return type. Okay, so this is method overriding. So if I give you the crux or high level understanding of this, so in overriding we have same method signature, but the implementation would be different. Okay, how it will be different, we'll see some example, but let's just first understand the principle of overriding. Okay, let's just put it this way. First thing, the reference type determines what methods are accessible at compile time, and the actual object type determines which implementation runs. Okay, so for example, let me write down this principle first for you. So we'll understand this. Let's first give you the theory. The reference type, you must remember this, the reference type will determine which methods are accessible at compile, which methods are accessible at compile time. Okay, second, the actual object type, the actual, I'll give second, the actual object type will determine the method implementation, which method to run, which implementation. Okay, so it would be runtime, and the above would be compile time. We'll understand these things in detail. Okay, let me give you one example. Let's suppose we have uh, two classes. One is animal, and I give a equal to, and the subclass is dog, because dog is a animal. So if I do this, a dot make sound, there is any method make sound, and then we say dog is making sound. Of course, because animal cannot sound, but the animal is what? Dog. So dog will make sound. This is dynamic method dispatch. That means we are getting the details. The implementation is being implemented at runtime. Dynamic method dispatch. DSA. Implementation. Implementation is being done at runtime. Okay, we'll understand it better. Let's just go for core things first. Understand what is overriding and how we can achieve it. Okay, so let's uh, achieve some positive uh, scenarios first, and let's just understand the rules for overriding. So there are rules. Rules are nothing, just the boundaries, the statements, what we need to do to make sure that we are overriding. Okay, so as I have told, the method signature would be same. So the first thing I will give you, same method name. Okay, again, irrespective of overloading, I have told you, I have recorded a lecture regarding overloading. In overloading, the method parameter would be different, but in this case the method parameter would be same parameter, and it means the exact parameters, the type, order, and count of parameter would be same. It has to be same, otherwise it will not be overriding. Third, the return type can be same or a covariant type. Return type will be same or a covariant type. Okay, now 4, access modifiers. Access modifier should not be more restrictive. What do you mean by more restrictive? We can go from protected to public, but we cannot go from public to protected. Protected is more restrictive. So that is the rule number 4. Access modifiers should not be more restrictive. Okay, should widen it should widen the scope एग्जाम्पल के लिए हम ले लेते हैं. For example, we can go from protected to public. Okay, now cannot override. We cannot override static methods. That's the rule number 5. Because static methods are locked, if we try to override the static method, it will give us compilation error. It will give compilation error. Okay, now point number 6, we cannot override final method. Okay, so I did a mistake here, so let me tell you again. Cannot override static method. Why we cannot override static method? Because it will not be overriding. It will not be overriding. We can do that, but it will not be overriding. It will be method hiding. I'll show you with example. Method hiding. So don't be confused here. So method hiding means we have two methods with the same signature, but the methods are static, and we have created it. It will look like method overriding, but it is actually called method hiding. It is not method overriding because it belongs to class, not instances. What do you mean by belongs to class? Because that method name, without creating an object, we can call the static method. So that is why we call it belongs to class. I've already written, not to instances. We can call it by name. Okay. Now, what I was saying in point number 5, we cannot override final methods. Override final methods. This will give compilation error. Okay. Now point number 7, we cannot override private method because they are not available to subclasses. These are available. We cannot override private methods. These are hidden, we can say, only visible to same class. Okay, so these are the rules. Most importantly, you have to understand first, no, all rules are very important, but the basic question you will be seeing around is between point number 1 to 4. Same method name, same parameter, return type should be same, or the covariant type, and access modifiers should widen the scope, not restrict the scope. Okay, and there are few more things like not few more things. One more thing is also there. If we are handling the exception, override overriding method cannot be uh, like, we can declare the checked exception than the parent, but it cannot declare a new or broader check exception. For example, if you are declaring, let's see this in this by example. So this is better understood by example. So let me give you exception. What is happening? exe exception rule. You'll understand this with example. Okay, and to make sure overriding is happening, there is one annotation override. Annotation. It is not mandatory, but it is good practice to use it. Good practice to use it. Okay. Now let's see one positive example for overriding. That how does overriding happens? Let's open the node Eclipse IDE, and we will create one more class with overriding package. I'll give overriding deep dive, and I'll give the method name. Let's give example of payment. I have a payment class, and in payment class I'll give private string payment ID. Okay, next, let's not give private, let's give protected, and same protected double amount, and let's create the constructor using field. Okay, let's remove this, and a method public string process payment. Okay, it will be overridden. I'll return processing payment, and let's give of amount payment, uh, raise rupees of amount. We have amount of pop. Okay, so this we will return. Now if we have another method also, let's add this method also, public void log payment. Okay, so and give log, and here I'll call the method process payment. Okay, this method is within the class, you can call it. Okay, now let's create one more class for overriding, because overriding happens only in inheritance, and this class is credit card payment. Okay, and it will extend, it will be the child, it will extend payment, extends payment. Yeah, sorry about that, payments. And it will implement all the methods, add constructor. Okay, and super id. Now let's do one thing here. Let's create one more parameters, private string card number, because we are paying by card. Okay, and add this in here, this dot card number equal to card number. Okay, so this we have done. Now we'll override the method process payment and all. And why does it should implement? So let's copy these methods and paste them here, and put at the rate override annotation here. Okay, now we have process payment, and here from here I am returning what? I'm returning the amount. Let's give debiting amount, debiting raise, how much it is, should be amount, and plus from card ending with whatever number is this, I'll have that ending with plus card number dot substring, and I will have card number dot length minus 4 dot length minus 4. It will give us 4 digits ending with this. Okay, so this is that. Okay, now the next part. Next I will be creating a class, the different payment mode, CLA class. Let's say this is PayPal payment, PayPal payment, and it is also extending It is also extending payment. Okay, now add constructor and add one variable here, the account string. Let me give it private string, then I'll give email, on which email we have this, and just do this here, this dot email equal to email. Okay, now let's go to the overriding method. We'll override this. We are not overriding this, we can call it directly. Okay, override this. Where is it? This is the payment method. So now we are processing the payment using PayPal. So what will be giving? We will be saying debiting amount, debiting from PayPal account rupees amount, and uh, from PayPal account, from, let's give Gmail here, from email PayPal account trace this amount. Okay, now let's go to where, let's create main method here only. Okay, and we call the methods main method. Now create PayPal. Okay, new PayPal, and in PayPal I'll give, let's say, in PayPal I have done this. This is email, this dot email. I have not done this. We have to include this also. Email. This is string email. Similarly, we have not done this here. So we have to do this string card number. Okay. Now this is okay. Now change it. Okay. Let's do the credit card payment first. Credit card payment, and we will give some values here, and I'll give, let's say, the card number here. First value is what in credit card payment? We have a string payment ID. So let's say payment ID is 123. What type of it is? Payment ID is string type. So I'll give 123. This is payment ID. And second is amount, and I'm paying, let's say, 1000. And third is card number. Card number is a string also. Card number is a string also. So I'll give string 45 this. So basically 4, we will have 12. Okay, so this is our card number. Now similarly I'll do for PayPal. New PayPal, and in first we have payment ID. Let me give payment ID 456, and amount I'll give, let's say, 564.50. This is amount double D. Email I'll give, let's say, jk@gmail.com. Okay, now we have this. Now I will call credit card payment dot log payment, and PayPal amount dot log. PayPal amount dot PayPal payment dot Why we do not have log payment here? I do not have log payment here. This is payment. We have log payment public. Okay, I have taken here class, so it will not now. Okay, now I have called both methods. Log payment, in log payment we are calling process payment. Process payment will be processed, but it will call what? It will call or overridden this method. Okay, so let's run it. I have to run this. So what does it say? For first thing, the debiting raised 1000 from card ending 3136. Second is saying debiting from JK. Let's give a space here. The email ID, PayPal account raise this amount. So what is happening here? We have this parent, and this parent has two methods. One is log payment and process payment, and this process payment method is being overridden. Where it is being overridden? Here you can see the original is this. Originally it is returning this, but when we do override, it is overriding and it is returning this, what we have seen in our result. And similarly in this method we are overriding here. I have not given, as I said, overriding at that override annotation is not mandatory, but it is necessary to check whether overriding happens or not, happening or not. So let's say if I change this int, so this will not override. Okay, this will not be the correct uh, signature, method signature. For overriding, method signature should be the same, exactly the same. Okay, now let's take one more relevant example. Let's take return type, covariant return type class with, and I'll take example of animal. There is one class animal, and I will take one more class. There is one more class which is dog. Okay, and dog extends animal. Okay, so let's give some method here. I'll give public animal, one method I'm writing, public animal create. I'm giving method to create animal, return new animal. So what we are doing here, we are creating an animal and we are returning animal. So this is one method we have. Now in implementation in the child class, we have dog and we are overriding the create method. So I will have this, and so it is the same method, but what we said in our question, we are checking for covariant return type. Covariant return type, when it will work, when it is the subclass or it is subtype of the parent, then only it can be covariant return type. So in this case, the dog is the child of animal, so we can change this animal to dog also, it will work. Okay, so that is dog is the subtype of animal which is valid covariant. If I do this, let's say I give it credit card payment, there is no relation between this, so it will not be working. This will not work, it would not be overriding, but we can create separate method with it, but well, we will not be able to override because it is not related to covariant, it is not covariant type and it is not related to this class. Okay, so this is what covariant return type. Okay, so let's try to, what I can do, Let's run it. Main method, I will have this. I'll create new dog class, new dog object I am creating here, and while creating I'm assigning it to animal. So this process we are doing here, it is upcasting, because animal is a parent and new dog is a child. So we have done upcasting, and what I will do, I'll create a dot, I'll run this method a dot create. So you see, a dot create will return what? Animal. So it will return new animal. So this is what this returns, a instance of dog at runtime. Returns the instance of dog at runtime. Okay, so this is how it works. So there is no result to be print here, so that's why it is not giving anything. But as I was saying, that this is overriding. When we do overriding, we can have the covariant return type. In this case, we have animal as a parent and dog is a child. We can return animal also, but the dog is the child of animal, so we can use the dog also. That is the covariant return type. Okay, so that's it about the covariant return type. Let's move on to the next example, which is exception. I was saying that we'll learn it. So let's go for exception. I'll write class new CLA class. I will leave. Okay, and I'll give it parent, parent, parent. Okay, now we'll be dealing with multiple exceptions here. Okay, we'll be checking. So in parent, I'm writing one method which is public void method. Let's say I've given method only, and which is throwing what? throw throws exception, which is IO exception. Okay, this is the first method in parent I am doing. Okay, now let me create class, another class. We can create multiple class in single file. Let's say child1. Okay, extends parent, and in this case I will override this method. I have, okay, parent. I'll override this method, and I'll try to throw some other exception. Okay, let's say in this case I am not throwing any exception. So is it giving any error? No. So with from IO exception, from any specific exception to no exception, it will work. No exception, no exception will work. Where we are going narrower. Okay, no checked exception, no checked exception. Right, this was the first rule. Okay, this was the first case. Now let's create child2, and it will be the same method, but the exception throws process changes. I'm creating child2, and in method I'm throwing exception file not found. What I'm throwing? File throws throws file not found exception. So is it giving error? No, it is not, because it will work, because file not exception is IO exception subclass. File not, it will work. Let's say correct, because why? file not exception, it's child of IO exception. Okay, now let's take another example. Let's take another example. I'll create child 3 extend parent, and I'm throwing exception here. I'm throwing exception. This is the super. This is child of what? Exception. It will not work because it is a super type of file. It will incorrect. That is why giving error, and why? Because it is super type of IO exception. Let's cut it from here and put it here. Okay, understood? Because this is an error, so I'll make it what? I'll not do anything. I'll just copy this and move on to the next part. Let's create child number 4. In child number 4, what I'm doing, I am creating, I'm throwing some SQL exception, because new SQL exception. So here you see what is it giving? It is giving error, and what is it saying? SQL exception cannot be resolved to a type. Why it is giving? Because new exception not in parent. Because see, this IO exception, it is not the child, like SQL exception is not the child of the IO exception. It does not comes under this. That is why it is giving error. So it will not work. So it is incorrect. It will give error because we have given new checked exception. You must be aware of checked and unchecked exception, right? Checked exception are compile time exception, which we are seeing here. Unchecked exception or runtime exception, which we cannot see. We only can see unchecked exception when we run the program, like array out of index, right? That is runtime exception, unchecked exception not in parent. Okay, now let's go to the next part, next method. I'm writing child number 5. Child number 5, and in this, what I'm doing, I'm throwing some unchecked exception. So unchecked exception I have given you, like, let's say array out of bounded. So you see there is no error, so it accepts unchecked exception. So correct. Unchecked exception can always be given. Exceptions can always be given. Got it? I think you got it. Okay, so this was about exceptions. This was all about exceptions. So this is done. Let me comment all these. The error class I will. Where is the 4th method? I have changed the 4th one, no? Let's do redo everything and copy this one and undo for 4th. Okay, now this. Okay, now let's comment out this, because we do not want red flag in our library, in our project explorer. Okay, so this is fine. Now let's move on to the next topic. Next topic is static methods and method ID. Okay, so what are static methods? Whenever we use static keyword in any method, that are which are called static method, and these methods belongs to class and then can be called using their name, directly with their name. Okay, so let me give you the overview first. Static methods and method hiding. Okay, let's understand. Let's move it to this. Let's increase the size. Okay, I think it would be better now. Okay, so static methods, as I said, these methods cannot be, we can't override, but we can do the process override. We can follow the process. We can do the process. We can do the process of overriding where it does method hiding, not the overriding. Instead of method overriding, it is called method hiding. How we do it? Let's see this. So first let's understand the static methods also. These are nothing, just when we do like this, public static, and we can get any return type, let's say boolean, and is available method. So when we use static in any method, static keyword in any method, this method is called static method, and we'll try to override this method. Let's see how can we do that. And in this case, there is one thing need to be noted, which is the reference. What is the reference? Reference is the main point which determines which static method is called. We'll give some example. I'll write down one example which static method is called. Okay, now let's understand this with an example. So I'll write one example for you here. Let's create class, and in this class I'll create let's say I'll give parent 1, because parent is already there. And we'll close all other classes, and I'll write one public static void static method. Always remember, there are some predefined keywords like public, static, void, volatile, transient, new, override. We cannot use these keywords as the method name. So as you was seeing this, if I write this, it will become red. So this means it is declared keyword in Java. We cannot use it as method name. So this is it. Okay, now let's move on to where, just a minute guys. Hello, हेलो
हेलो
हेलो, कौन बोल रहे हैं?
रॉन्ग नंबर लेते.
Okay, I'm back. So static method. So we have created static. Let's print something. That's why so parent static method and dhod method, and let's create one more method, which is instance method, which is non-static public. I'll not use this void instance. method. If the method is not static, we can call it instance. Okay, and I'll print this. So yes, so instance parent instance method. Okay, now let's create a child, write the child class inside this only child, and it extends the parent, and the parent which we have created here, parent 1. Okay, now let's do this. If I write at the rate override annotation here, it will accept because it is overriding, because it is non-static method, and non-static method we can do overriding. Okay, so let me change it child instance method. This will override and it will change the print. Okay, but if I write at the rate override here, it will not be working. It will give us error because this is static. What is it saying? It is saying the method static method of type child must override or implement the super type. So this is not accepting the override because overriding is not happening here. It is hiding, method hiding. What it will do, it will hide this method and it will print this one. So this is what I was trying to tell you, that method hiding only happens when static methods are there. When there are non-static, the method overriding will work as usual. Okay, let's try to run it. So let's write it. This is method overriding. This is method hiding, not overriding. Overriding. Okay, and this is overriding. This is pure overriding. Overriding. Okay, now let's create a main method, and let's create an object, new object to meet child. And let's call the method child dot static and child dot non-static, which is instance. So you'll see which method is being called. What happened? Let me run it. Run as run configuration, not run configuration. Close. What is it saying? Is it saying change the static, change access to static using child declaring declare type? Okay, we have to do like this. Okay, why is it not printing? Will it call? Let's go here. Okay, we'll call this, we'll call this parent, this child. Okay, let's do this and control and let's do this here. Okay, what I will do, select our application. Okay, so in public, from public it was picking, so let's run it again. Do you see what you are saying? Parent static method it is calling from this one, and instance method, and instance method what it is giving us, it is giving child instance method. So method overriding is happening here, and here it is going for reference parent static method. So reference type is, so with this example I've given the reference of what? Parent, no? So let's give the reference of child. Let's see what changes it will give. So child static method is called. Why I did this, why I added parent, because I wanted to show this. Whenever we use whichever whenever there are static methods, if there are static method will follow reference, will follow the reference. Which reference is given, that reference will decide which method will be running. So the reference of parent is given, and the parent method will be running here. But in without a static method, the child will be running. So parent will follow the reference method, reference class method would be called. Okay, so this is all about static and method hiding. But when we have used child class, so in that case it was behaving same to same, and it was not printing the parent, it was hiding this details to show these. Okay, so I'll do this. Okay, now now we have done 4 parts. What parts we have done? We have done method overriding, we have done what? Exceptions we have done, return type covariant. Okay, okay, what else is remaining? Okay, now I think this is all we have. Let's go for one more example. I'll give one more example for dynamic method dispatch or dynamic method overriding. We'll see. Let's go to the overriding. Let's go to the package class. Let's create a class shape, and I'll create 2 methods here. One is for area, one is for draw. So public, I'm creating public void draw. Okay, and this SISO, and what I'm going to print here, drawing the shape. Okay, now next method I am giving public void, not void, area will return something, public double area, and I'll have return 0. I'll override this. This is the parent method. Now I'll create one more class, CLA class. I'll give circle, and I'll extend shape. Okay, now I'll have private double r. If it is a circle, there would be a radius, so I'm taking a variable r, and one constructor to assign the value double, what is this, doble double r, and this dot r equal to r. Okay, now we'll override these both methods. Let me take this @override. I write override every time to make sure that it is overriding. So if there is any error, we'll know that it is not overriding. So here it was drawing the shape, here I am drawing circle. I have changed the implementation. Now what would be the area of this? Area of this would be pi r square, which is math.py into r into r. Okay, so this is our area. Let's create one more class. Class rectangle extends shape. It will also give us the same method, but here in rectangle, what do we have? We have private. We have length and breadth. So let's take length int we take, or what should we take in triangle? Let's take double. We can take length and breadth, private double length and private double breadth. So what is the formula of rectangular area? L into B, 2 into L plus B. That's the formula to find out the area of what? No, the area, the formula to find the area is L into B. Okay, so let's go. I will override these both methods. Let me create the constructor for this. Constructor using field, created the constructors. Okay, now what? Now I will override, and what overriding now here I am drawing a rectangle, and the area, what would be the area would be L into breadth. Length into breadth is the area of what? Rectangle, right? Now let's go to the main method, and here I will call the main, let's call it here only main, and I'll create one what I'll create one main method. I'll create one array, shapes array I'll be creating, so which is shape, and this array name will give its name shapes, curly braces, and I'll be doing new shape, and I'll be blank. Now I'll give new circle. This is the dynamic way of doing this, and in circle I'll give radius 6, and a new rectangle, and I'll give 4 comma 3. Okay, so this is done. Now what I'll do, what is this? 4 into rectangle 3 2.0. Why this is giving error? Rectangle shape double length into B 3. Okay, curly braces is missing. Okay, now for each, I'll have for each shapes S equal to, not equal to shapes, it will get the shape because shape is the parent of all. Okay, and we have extended shape everywhere, so it can be used as a class also. So instead of giving the rectangle or circle everywhere, we can use shape. Okay, because we have extended, this is the parent. Now what I will do, I will call s dot draw here. Okay, and after this I will do system, and I'll write area area is what plus s dot area will call. So it will show us the area. It will print the area. Let's run it for everything. Okay, the same problem here. We will go for public class. We'll go for public class here. Shape. Okay, so drawing the shape. First shape is area this. Drawing circle. Area, circle area and rectangle area. Got it? So this is how the dynamic dispatch works. Okay, so I think that's all with overriding deep dive. Let's go for some questions, some overriding questions and hot question which comes into interview. So the very first question, interview questions. The very first question will go with, can we override a private method? Can we override a private method? Can we? No, we cannot override private methods. Simple answer, no, because these are hidden. What will happen? So the next question is, what will happen if we are calling overridden method from a constructor? So when you call an overridden method from a constructor, so the overridden child version will run because child object is not fully initialized. This is dangerous because child will be giving the default values, because we have to initialize the values first, because what constructor does, constructor initializes the value, but if we are not initializing the value and we are calling it from the constructor itself, it will not be, the values till then will not be initialized, right? Now the next question, can we override a static method? No, we cannot. That is method hiding. Okay, we cannot do that. Can we do overriding and make it final? So let's say there is one method, we have done overriding. So here this is draw and this is draw, we have overridden. Can we make this final? So yes, we can make it final, but after this we cannot further modify it, we cannot further use it, because final now onward it cannot be overridden in subclasses. Okay, so I think these are the questions. Rest we have understood, very well. So the major question comes from for interview is this access modifier case. So what is access modifier case? Access modifier case is this. So let's say I have this here, I have this public, no, I will give protected here. So protective to public we can do, but if I give private to public we can also do, but private we cannot uh, override, we cannot override private. So let's go protected to private here. It is narrowing, so narrowing will not work, widening will work. So when we go protected to public it will work. That is what I'm trying to show. Access modifier should not be more restrictive, it should widen the scope. We can go protected to public, we cannot go public to protected. So that's the main question, that's the first question. Second question comes around static method, and this what we have learned about the references. This references, where this one, this reference you should understand very well. Whenever we are overriding, if it is a static method, it will go for the reference, which whatever reference is given here, it will call that method only. Okay, and if it is about non-static method, it will call the uh, overridden method. Okay, so that's all, guys. Thank you.